Help. I have a career gap in my resume. And guess what? It makes me look risky to employers. No, that is not the right frame of mind, my friends. Today, we're going to talk about gaps and what exactly I think you should do about gaps. What is a gap? A gap is lack of formal employment. There's no formal employment on your resume, and this could have been for several months or years. Number one, be honest on and off the resume. It is what it is. Like I said, it happens to a boatload of people, and they still get employment. Use a less obvious year format where that could help. If that could help you in any way, well, go ahead and do that. And do not lie about the time periods. It is so important that you maintain that air of honesty. Honesty is always the best policy. So don't lie. Keep it real. Be honest. Don't freak out. This happens to many people. Do not appear nervous. Be confident. You want to look that individual in the eye and say, this is the reason, or these are the reasons. And you got to understand that you very well could be asked. So number three, be prepared to answer. It's not a showstopper because you're being interviewed. Think about it. They asked you to come in for an interview, or they're interviewing you virtually. It's because they are interested in you. So never think, oh, woe is me. Here it goes down the tubes. No, that's a negative thought. Don't do that. It could have been for the pandemic reasons, but whatever the cause, keep it brief. Now, I want you to be prepared. So number four, you got to rationalize the reasons in your head, which you probably have been doing. So what is it? It could have been because of a cause. It could have been for health purposes. It could have been for a family situation. But number five is think about what you did and any value gained. So perhaps you took a course. That's value. Did you volunteer for an organization? That's also value. Now, you're not going to replace the job position with I volunteered for PMI, except you really did volunteer. And if you really did volunteer and you were getting actual work done, then that is something you want to put there. But if you were just showing up for meetings every month, once a month, without doing much more, that's probably not a compelling argument. But it is value gained. Perhaps you acquired a new skill, or you were a full-time mom or dad. Or maybe you traveled to gain international exposure so that you could be a better professional. These are all reasonings that you could bring forward. Perhaps you wanted to prepare for PMI certification, or maybe you actually did some temp work. Maybe you did temp work with an agency to gain some experience. So whatever the case, you need to spin it positively, and you also need to be very confident. Now, don't say, I just took a vacation to an island to goof off. No, don't do that. Make sure that you always put a positive spin of professionalism and value. You want to keep that momentum as far as the impression they're getting of you as an individual who is pursuing a goal. So you don't want it to sound like you just took time off for no good reason, or the market was so bad that you were not proactive to do anything in the midst of that. Whatever the case, keep it positive. Let's move on to number six. I would recommend that you leverage your network right now to avoid stress. Leverage your network to begin trying to close those gaps immediately. The moment you find yourself out of employment, you need to leverage your network. You need to leverage the PMI chapter meetings. You could volunteer, like I said, but keep moving. That momentum is so important. Now, what I have seen work in the case of an individual that had a 7-year gap was to show what was gained in that gap. Now, the reason this individual had a gap was as a result of a family situation. But you need to explain it in such a way that it is compelling. So you don't just say, oh, I had a family situation. You would say, for example, we had new additions to family, or we recently adopted kids and had to raise them, that kind of thing. So explain the gap in as few words as possible. You want to show that you are aware of the importance of that, but also the relevance of that gap. I would also go a step further and include any certification. So if you are in the middle of a gap right now, you need to be proactive by getting some certifications or something of value that you can bring to the table. I have seen that to work for individuals who were unemployed for years because they did take time off for family reasons, but when they got back in the game, they were able to show value by means of what they had accomplished, and their language and their poise in the interview just showed they were still with it. How to avoid the gap today? Become self-employed overnight. How do you do that? Go on Upwork, go on Fiverr, go on Wisent. Find jobs there that you can do. It's very simple. A lot of people are doing it. Hundreds and thousands of people who are project managers are doing that. Approach the local Chamber of Commerce and the community. Maybe look into the library. Library services is also something you could look into. Maybe you could volunteer there, or with a PMI, or maybe with your kid's school, or maybe with Salvation Army. Now, it doesn't replace jobs, but it just shows value and momentum. Number 8 could be a friend or family business that you begin working with. Maybe become a content creator right now. Turn on the phone and record a video about project management or business or whatever field you're in, and develop a channel. And you know what? You can actually say, I am a content creator. I took time out to become a content creator. But you really need to show that. This isn't just fluff that you throw out, but I'm trying to be proactive here. So if you ever find yourself in the middle of a gap, you remember these things your buddy Phil told you about. Maybe you write a book, you could mentor, coach, and train others. So these are all ideas that I want you to take and put to good use, especially if you're going through a gap right now. Here are some examples of how you can spin that in an interview. You could say, I took time off after getting certified as a professional project manager to decompress and recalibrate my goals. It was time well spent, as it helped me to retune, adjust, and focus my attention in preparation for the next big step in my career. Or you could say, I took time off after the birth of my kids to raise them as a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad. Or you could say, I took time off to study for my professional certification as a project manager. Or I took time off to gain international exposure through travel to be exposed to other cultures. Simple, straightforward, few words, no need to go on and on, no need to worry, and no need to fret, because a lot of folks, like I said, go through this all the time. Now, in closing, I really want to stress that you should not share too much information. You shouldn't feel like you are a second-class citizen because of that. You should still be as confident as ever. And just be honest and move on from that topic as quickly as possible. I stayed at home for some time for blah, blah, blah. Or the other examples on the screen. You know what to do. I know you got it, my friend. Remember, body language is a lot, so people are always looking these days for your body language. Make sure you are calm, cool, collected, and poised when you're sharing this information, and everything's going to work out. All right? Thank you for joining me today. I wish you all the very best in your job search. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this with your friends, and I will talk to you in the next video. I want to say a big thank you to our friend who sent in this question. He knows who he is. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I guess I could say she knows who she is, but that would be telling, wouldn't it? Ha. See you in the next one.